Time to cross the T's and dot the I's with the rest of the week's top stories. And here is our panel. There's Diane Macedo from FoxNews.com and Fox Business's own Tracy Burns and radio host, political commentator Ben Ferguson. Let's start with Japan. The Japanese markets are feeling the effect, of course, of that earthquake and the tsunami and the nuke problems. The question is, can Japan's economy survive this?
I think the interest rates in Japan will start working their way up, and higher interest rates, when it's such a large percentage of their budget that they're spending to service that debt, they can ill afford any rates in interest rates, so the whole thing could spiral on itself. You've got 10-year rates in Greece around 12%. If you take 10-year rates in Japan to 12%, you're talking about several multiples of their annual tax revenue just to pay their interest, and in that case you would be running into a default situation, or let's call it a restructuring.
Well, let's start with you, Tracy, because that was on the show, the Barney Show, which you were on every day, and that was startling to me. And this not only about Japan, but about the fact that we are behind them, but we're also building our debt up. And what he's saying is every single dime of tax revenue won't be enough to pay the interest expense.
They're debt-laden, and we know it, and the debt is going to continue to explode, and now we're seeing the value of the yen pull back as well, and that's going to hurt them even more so. I still believe at the end of the day they can rebuild themselves. Are they falling into another 10-year slump? Very possible. Will it be a flat economy for a very long time again? Absolutely, but we're seeing them flood money into this economy. Will they have to pay ridiculous interest rates? Of course, but they're going to get money out to the people. They're going to be able to rebuild. They're going to be able to bring themselves back, but the debt is going to be a problem.
Diane, everybody's worried about the radiation cloud. I'm worried about the economic cloud because they are the third biggest economy in the world.
Well, the area directly impacted by the disaster isn't a huge it's not a major manufacturing center. It accounts for maybe 4 to 6% of their gross domestic product. So the area directly affected is not going to have a huge impact on the economy. The bigger issue is power generation. About 10% of their power has been cut. And public transportation has also been affected, so that obviously makes it hard for people to get to work. But these are temporary circumstances. So unless the nuclear crisis worsens, they're going to probably have a bad first half of the year, but once reconstruction kicks in, that's going to help them boost their growth. They're going to have huge debt regardless, but I definitely think they're going to be able to bounce back.
Ben, this is, I mean, you know, I like to make it into personal facts here. You know, if you're in debt up to your ears and you have a calamity, how are you going to pay your bills? And that's where I think Japan is.
Yeah, and I think this is a big warning for the United States of America that when you get so far in debt and then you have an unexpected expense come up, aka an emergency like this, it's going to be major trouble for their economy. When you have these interest rates where it is, you see that this is going to hurt them when it comes to shipping, and look at all the flights that have been, you know, canceled coming out of there, and it could be for a while. The other thing is you've got a lot of American manufacturers that rely on things in Japan. I was talking yesterday to an owner of a Toyota and Lexus dealership. He said they've already sent emails out saying there's a very good chance the parts that they need are going to go up drastically because part of it is they're going to end up passing the buck on to the United States and any other country that is buying their goods. So we should look at this because we got debt problems here, and we're one catastrophe away or a 9/11 or something like that from seeing our markets go crazy and our debt go through the roof, and we should look at it and say, hey, we don't want to be Japan right now.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm concerned not only from a country standpoint, but also just individually. You know, if you don't have an emergency fund, something goes hiccup in your world.
It's a supply chain issue too, right, Tom? I mean, it might not be actual products that are going to be affected, but the pieces in our products. You know, the SIM card in your BlackBerry is made in Japan.
Bingo.
Yep.
Well, but a lot of these plants are coming back. I mean, some were even predicted to come back today. So they're not all shut down. Some of them are only predicted to be shut down for about a week. And Japan does have assets that it can liquidate. So it does have a little bit of a safety net.
Going to be studied to see how fast they can rebound from all of this. We've also got, in Illinois, they've enacted a tax on online retailers. Illinois became the latest state to pass a law requiring all companies doing business there, including online retailers, they have to collect sales tax on their purchases. So, Diane, this is what I get calls from both local business people who say, hey, I have to collect tax. Right. It's unfair that Amazon gets to sell without tax, but Amazon is the way a lot of people buy things as well.
It's a tough one because the intent behind the law is good. If brick and mortars have to pay sales tax and the online retailers don't, naturally that's going to drive people to the online retailers. And some people go into the brick and mortars, waste the sales associates' time to look at the product, and then go buy it online anyway. But if the online retailer isn't getting city and state services, why should they have to pay taxes? And more importantly, the law only applies to businesses, to online retailers that have affiliate sellers in the state. So Amazon reacted to this by severing its ties with any of those affiliates in the state. So it comes back around to hurt the man it's expected to help. And I mean, the real answer is try to lower the sales tax.
Ben, what's your take on this?
Yeah. Look, this is what happens when you become greedy and you don't think outside the box, as the governor's doing in Illinois. The fact of the matter is, people like choice, and they like to save money. And right now, in the economy we have, you should let people just spend money in general. And these affiliates that they're going to say goodbye to in Illinois is going to hurt people in Illinois. But you've got a guy that can't think outside the box that's saying, I want my hands on every single dime I can get my hands on, instead of saying, I'm going to cut budgets, and I'm going to stop spending as much because we don't have as much money. And this is what liberalism does. It hurts commerce in Illinois. It's going to hurt in all these other states too. And they're hurting people in the state that were actually making money because they don't understand that when people buy things, overall it's good for everything.
So Tracy, who's going to win on this? Because Amazon is saying we're out of there. We're out of Illinois, and that does cut back.
Well, California, New Mexico, and a bunch of other states also have the same proposal on the table. But Target, Best Buy, other big box retailers have sided now with Amazon, and they're saying we're going to pull out too. So we're going to have people losing jobs because of this. And Ben's right. We're masking the problem. Taxing more does not solve the problem of overspending. Stop spending and let people shop.
All right. Yeah. What are your weekend plans, folks? Because the president's heading to Rio. Yes. And more people are asking, pardon me, the question about, is he on the job? Where is he? Is he AWOL? Where in the world is our president? So, Ben, this is right up your alley, buddy.
Yeah, you know, here's my thing. I know that the president's got a tough job. I understand that. And I understand that you got to go around the world. But this is a president that continues to literally take mulligans on national security issues. He's not dealing with a no-fly zone in Libya. He didn't do well with Mubarak when it came to Egypt and our own ally. He's not being in charge of this budget battle with us extending the budget for another 3 weeks trying to get a continuing resolution. In the meantime, he's saying, but let me tell you what I am good at. I'm really good at finding nice places to take my family, and you're paying for it, while he's completely abandoning what we hired him to do, which was to take care of major issues, national disasters, and things when it comes to our national security, and he's not doing it.
All right, Diane, listen, I mean, we all know that he's got people, and his people go with him wherever he goes, and they're telling him all the things that are going on in the world. But it's the appearance which is the big political issue here. Does it look like he's paying attention?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I think in this case, it's a little bit of both. You know, we're 3 weeks from a government shutdown. We don't have a budget deal. Japan, Libya, the general unrest in the Middle East, all these things affect the economy. So you can't weigh one over the other. And I would like to give him the benefit of the doubt and say, well, he can handle these things while on this trip because he's the president. He can multitask. His people are with him. But I think when you choose to go out golfing last week, when you're doing your NCAA draft picks, while all this stuff is going on, he's showing us that his priorities are off, and that's what worries me.
But I think what he's doing,
I
think what he's doing is irrelevant. It's just a fact that his track record has not proven that he can multitask, which is, it's not true. He's the president of the United States. Of course he can multitask, but that's not the appearance we're getting. He probably filled out his, his March Madness brackets on the way to the bathroom. Like, he's played a round of golf. Give the guy a break. But had he stepped up in the past on everything else, we would give him a pass on this. But because he hasn't, because we haven't seen leadership out of him lately, this is what bothers us.
Ben?
Remember, this is the president that criticized CEOs for going to Vegas while their companies were in trouble. So why don't the same rules apply to him? If he's going to trash CEOs for going out on weekend trips when they're getting bailed out by the United States government, as he criticized, then why can he do the same thing when we need him to be a leader and actually show leadership?
I don't know, but I've got that Peter Allen Rio song in my head now. Thank you all. Ben, Diane, Tracy, thank you all very much.